Hello, and welcome back to Writing with Witches, the podcast where a couple of witches hang out and talk about writing. This time we're talking about foreshadowing. I don't know why I decided to try to do that in a creepy voice, don't ask. My name is Leona Urbanski. I'm a relatively newly published author with my first book that came out in April is Fire Magic, Book One in the Deathgate trilogy. And because I'm crazy, my second book, Fae Touch, the first book of the Silver Eye series. Not only am I publishing two books in a year, I'm publishing two different series in a year. It's coming out in September. My co-host is.
I am Nicole Autumn. I am the author of the completed Secret Society series. Yeah, and I'm not crazy enough to do two books in 1 year because that's crazy sauce. But to be fair, you had them also pre-written before you started.
That is true. That is true.
You had drafts done, so there's that.
But yeah, I've got a pile.
You got a nice stack of manuscripts ready and waiting to go. But to jump into book news, I don't have any. I may have slacked off this last week and did not write anything.
You wrote a little bit.
Okay,
I did write a little bit.
I did write a little bit, but nothing compared to my normal numbers. So I'm hoping this week to get back into it. I don't know what the holdup is and why all of a sudden I'm just like, I don't want to write on this right now. Probably because like a lot of other creative inspiration is happening in other areas of my life that it's like writing right now is like, no, let's work on some knitting. That's been my go-to right now.
Supermarket chaos hasn't been helping.
No. I think you'd be a little disappointed in me if I told you that I pretty much have that supermarket cleared out. I have 4 piles, and that's it. And then I'm done. So if that tells you anything, I've been keeping myself occupied.
A little bit.
But I will be getting back to it this week because I know I kind of slacked off. So any book news for you?
Well, first, we all deserve a break, so there's no shame in that.
There's true. That is true.
I have been working on the beta edits for Fae Touched. I'm about halfway through the story, so I am still on track to have it ready to go for ARC readers by the end of the month. I'm still getting feedback from other beta readers. That's about the only thing I've been working on. This week has been. I think I was getting sick, and I don't think it ever quite took, but I was sleeping a lot. So I think I was getting on the edge of being sick. I might still be on the edge of getting sick, honestly. But
yeah,
I'm still making myself work on Fae Touched, as well as some other projects that are not related to writing. So
more fun projects. All
more
kinds
fun
of projects.
There's a reason our interests overlap quite a bit.
We have been we've been doing a lot of other creative things lately.
Yeah.
So, should we jump into this episode about writing good foreshadowing?
Sure, let's do it. I was trying to be enthusiastic and then great.
It wasn't you. It's not you. My husband walked downstairs and he literally walked down dancing and just danced his way across the wall and then told.
That's not distracting at all.
Definitely not. Nope. So again, let's jump into foreshadowing.
Let's do it.
So let's go into some of the reasons why you would want to foreshadow something. First, we'll just take it off the top. Mysteries, you're going to be foreshadowing a lot. That is probably going to be your number one. I would also say horror would be another one if it is definitely a whodunit type horror. Those, it is to sprinkle in foreshadowing of motive or who did it. And they could also be used as kind of like, is red herrings considered foreshadowing?
No, red herrings are a false trail.
Like a redirect, right?
Yeah,
Gotcha. Okay.
a false clue.
Well, it could, I mean, technically, if you don't know it's a red herring, it could be seen as
Yes,
foreshadowing
but
until the end.
that's on the reader's end, not the writer's end. We're talking about
That
the writer's end
that's
of
true.
things.
That makes sense. Well, you could sprinkle in those red herrings to disguise
You
them
could.
as foreshadowing. But yes, a lot of the times it is to drop little hints here and there to give readers some type of information to lead them to who did it, why they did it, etc., and so forth.
Yeah, and like you said, foreshadowing, the first thing people think of is mysteries.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the easiest way to describe it because you are getting the little clues about the mystery itself. It was a murder mystery, who the killer was, or sometimes who the victim is, because maybe it's an unidentified body. So yeah, all of that stuff is active, what I would call active foreshadowing, because all of these clues are deliberately being placed, and we're going to talk about a little bit more later in the episode, but um, they are not just being sprinkled in for flavor text that come to fruition later. So when you're writing a mystery, then you are very deliberately plotting out where to drop these foreshadowing clues in the book.
Yeah. Yeah. I would also say like motive is a big one too that they use foreshadowing for. Is the motive will always be why did they do it? Who did it? And of course everyone has motive in mysteries. Every single
Always.
one. Every single one. Which makes I I even watched The Sheep Detective. Total side rant real quick. I watched The Sheep Detective. Okay? Broke my heart, cried like a baby. That's besides the point. I did not figure out who did it in the most simple detective movie. And my husband got it. He's like, "Oh, I know who did it." We all stopped. Paused movie, mid-movie. To be like, "Who did it? Who do we think did it?" We all had our suspects. But of course, my husband's like, "Oh, it's this person." I'm like, "No way. Why? Why would it be that person? They have literally no motive, no nothing, no, they don't, that doesn't make any sense." He was right. I wanted to kick myself in the ass. I'm like, "How did you know that?" He's like, "It just made sense." And I was like, "No, it didn't. It didn't make sense." But then once, they do their grand spiel at the end of why they did what they did and who did it, I was like, "Oh, yes, that does make sense." I'm sorry. I thought I turned my phone off. There we go. An alarm went off. But yeah, total side rant. It is a great movie, though. It'll make you cry. I cried. But I'm also a baby. I cry at all the movies, so.
I was like, don't trust her when she says she cries. That's anything sets her off. I
I
love
get
her
set
dearly.
off.
Don't get me wrong.
I am okay. Let's put it this way: anytime a video on Instagram comes up, and if you go to like the comments, and they're like, "Yeah, I planned on crying this morning," I'm basically that person. Like I cry over everything. But it was really sad.
That's fair.
Anyways, total rant. Sorry about that. Getting back to the fact that foreshadowing is still found in other genres. Now, these may not be the whole plot point, but there is still good reason to use foreshadowing in your books if you are going to get it to the climax of some point. If you want some type of reveal of information, whether it is, whatever the case may be for your book. It could be a object, a person, a storyline that they've been trying to piece together or whatever. But you can still use foreshadowing even if you're not mysteries. Sorry, the brain has not been working today at all. I am so sorry.
You didn't notice me just like Totally eyes glazed over for a second.
When I went grocery shopping with my husband today, he was like, "Are you okay? Because you're like all over the place. Like your brain is." I'm like, "No, but it's not working." I felt like I was the toddler and he was the adult, and he's just like, "Come on, this way, let's go. We gotta go here now." But oh, what's this? This looks good. He's like, "No, no, let's go." That was me. The brain was not braining, and I was all over the place, and my brain's still all over the place. So,
But we're still gonna feel
you know what? We gotta do what we gotta do, whether we're struggling or not. Like, so hopefully, whoever the listeners or watchers bear with us a little bit.
be amused at our failures.
Just give us a hope and a prayer, and just send us on our way.
Yeah, pretty much. Anyway.
Yeah. So, please, foreshadowing for other reasons that are not mysteries.
Right. I'm gonna go into a little more detail. Like, hi, Binks. Wow, my brain just dropped. Thanks for that, Binks.
Yes. Distraction number 2 is here.
It's breadcrumbs for your readers to pick up that lead to the climax of the story. That said, you want most foreshadowing to be wrapped up at the end of the story. But if you're planning a series or a trilogy or more than one book, basically, then you don't always wrap up those threads. We're going to talk a little bit more about some of the other stuff in a minute, but I'm trying not to jump ahead. But the foreshadowing that you want the readers to pick up on, you want to tie together and give them some conclusion at the end of it. You don't want to describe a man with a facial scar for 2 paragraphs and then never mention him again. Thank you, Robert Jordan.
Yes. God, that pissed me off. I'm like, this guy has to be important. Why would he spend so much time discussing what he looks like? Never mentioned again. We're on book 3 and he is still not mentioned.
I know, right? I still am looking for him.
Yeah. We're waiting. Where did he go? Who knows? Only Robert Jordan, apparently.
So yeah, you do want to give your readers some kind of closure if you are going to drop in heavy foreshadowing like that, because that was foreshadowing. That was giving us the implication that he was important, that you should notice this person, that you should take notice and take notes that this person might be important and come up again. Real quick, I'm going to backtrack for 5 seconds. What is foreshadowing?
It might be a good idea to explain that.
Foreshadowing, I'm not going to give you an official definition off the dictionary because I wasn't that thoughtful enough to look it up ahead of time. But it's basically a piece of the story that you put in that drops a hint to something larger that happens later on in the book. Sometimes it's obvious. Sometimes you spend 2 paragraphs describing someone that becomes important later in the book. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's just someone jumping at a certain way, the way a shadow is shaped. Wow. A certain way that a shadow is shaped. Like maybe it's a cat and they jump at a cat, but you don't realize it because, it's a shadow. So it can be big, it can be small, it can be somewhere in between. It can be a gesture, it could be someone saying something, it could be a catchphrase, and you find out later why it's a catchphrase for them later on, or why someone is so attached to somebody in the book later. So foreshadowing can be a lot of different things and in different ways. What makes them a piece of the foreshadowing is that it's tied up later in the book somehow. There is some kind of reasoning or explanation behind it that comes apparent in the book, be it part of the big climax of the story or something smaller.
Yeah. Also, not all foreshadowing needs to have this big reveal at the end. It could just be a side plot. It could be character traits for certain characters, like, Maybe a character always has, like, I don't know, a little wooden toy. I don't know why this is coming up, but maybe a little wooden toy that they carry with them, and then they just seem to another character always notices, like, why do they have this wooden toy? Or they notice that there's now two wooden toys, and it's like, what the fuck is going on? Well, maybe they like to whittle wood on the side, and that is like a character trait that they enjoy working with their hands and wood and all that stuff. So that becomes a character trait that you have sprinkled in without having to say, yeah, I like to whittle wood in my spare time. You know, like these big, not big, these blatantly obvious statements that characters could say. But instead, you're showing it without doing that. And that could be a little small form of foreshadowing to a character trait. Or, you know, like I said, it could be a side plot that maybe all of a sudden magical keys appear and you're like, where are these magical keys leading us to? And then it's like a chunk that leads you to something that will further the plot later, but it's just a little side quest, essentially. Foreshadowing for side quest. There we go.
It's like an advertisement.
Yeah.
Or another example that isn't even something, it's in fire magic. The three brothers all have green eyes. There's a reason they all have green eyes. There's a reason that is stated more than once. That's the only trait they seem to share, and that their mother has green eyes. There's a reason for that. That is foreshadowing on a secret that is revealed for that family later on in the story. So there's a reason for that. There's a reason that spirits are brought up a lot when it comes to Divina in fire magic. Um, I can't think of any of other books but my own right now. So sorry for that. I'm trying to think of other good foreshadowing in other books. Oh, okay, I know. In the book I'm going to review today, Duet with the Siren Duke. The little hints and clues about the goddess Lelia comes up later on and reveals the true story of what happened, kind of thing. You got that foreshadowing that there's more to this story than is being led on, but you don't actually get the full story till later. So that's a sense of foreshadowing as well. It's more of a that one's more of a blatant, obvious climactic foreshadowing, but
Yeah.
it is an example of the foreshadowing. But it can, like I said, it can do character traits. It can do side plots like your magical keys. It can, I don't know, my brain just brained out.
That's fair. It doesn't have to be major things that are being revealed through foreshadowing. It could be little things. I mean, hell, you could make it a little game. I don't know. Of little foreshadowings of different items or things about characters. It can be used in all forms of just giving your readers little pieces of information for them to put the puzzle together. And it doesn't have to be a big puzzle. It could be little. A little four-piecer. You know, like those little cute toddler puzzles. Yeah. So yeah, that would bring us to our witchy tip, which is all about scrying. Now, there are different forms of scrying that you can do. I know the most popular ones are probably like fire scrying, so either in a bonfire or even your like fireplace, a candle. There's smoke scrying. There's also scrying mirrors that you can use that typically have like a black surface. Obviously, crystal balls, but don't leave your clear ones uncovered. We don't want a house fire.
Nope.
I'm trying to think of anything else. I'm sure there's like a way of water scrying.
Pendulums.
Pendulums is another scrying. I'm sure there's some form of like water scrying. I'm sure like if you watch like the ripples and just kind of watch and see what you see, I think that would be really good in like lake water, ocean water, just watching the waves, seeing what you see. You can really scry with anything, especially if there's movement involved with it that is not predictable movements. So things like ocean waves or fire or things like that. Good ways of doing that, like I said, in unpredictable patterns. That's I just watched a whole video about how like fires being like a good place to have connection because your brain like lets down its guard because nothing about a fire is predictable, which is why we have like the greatest conversations around fires. I don't know. It was kind of interesting.
If you can start the fire.
You know what? I was not the one that was like, I'm a fire sign. I can get the fire started. I did try, but I'm normally very
I
good at
just stood
getting
by with the
fire
hose.
started. You just sat by and waited with your drink. And that's
Yep.
fine. um but yeah, to start scrying, if you're looking into something, a lot of the times it's just softening your gaze, kind of clearing your mind, not really focusing on one thing or the other, and just see what you see. And then you get the fun game of trying to figure out what the fuck it all means. Which, good luck.
Mm-hmm.
Symbols and things will mean different things to other people. So there really is no guide for that. You kind of just have to go with your intuition there, which is what scrying is heavily relies on, is your intuition.
What what reasons would people have to scry? Just out of curiosity, what would you list off some?
Definitely asking questions. So, like, things that you would typically ask, like a tarot reading, like, what should I be focusing on? Or asking for signs for certain things, you could scry that. But a lot of the times it's just another form of divination. So, any type of question that you may have, and see what symbols or signs that you see when doing it. I've never really been big into scrying, but that's honestly because I really never tried. So there's also candle wax scrying.
Yeah. I only put it in there because I've been reading more about dragon magic, and
Mm-hmm.
dragons heavily are favored towards fire. And so fire scrying has come up in the books that I've been reading about. So that's what made me think of it.
Bonfires. Those are always fun.
Man, if there was a way to have a bonfire, I would, but we need a fire pit first.
Well, you could always get one of those small ones that are just like a little metal one. Because I know you're not big on the big fires.
Yeah.
So just like a small one would probably work for you. Just like a couple logs and you're good.
Yeah. I'm thinking about it.
Or
We'll
if you
see.
have a fireplace, that'll work too.
Yeah. I mean, I have an electric fireplace, but that's not exactly real fire.
I mean, technically it is real fire. It's just made with gas and not wood. So the pattern itself
No,
might
it's
not be.
literally that's a gas
Oh,
fireplace. I'm talking electric fireplace. Like actual, it's a digital screen with fire on it.
yeah, I don't know if that would count. I don't think you're going to see what you
I
want
don't
to see
think it
in
would
that.
count.
I don't think so.
No,
Yeah, I don't know why I thought like gas one.
I mean that's fair, but no, I meant literally an electric fireplace.
That that makes sense. Yep. Yeah, so you probably need a little bonfire in your backyard
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
or a candle.
Or a
You
candle.
could do that. Yeah.
Anyway,
That's pretty much all I had on scrying because like I said, it's not that I don't want to, it's just never really called to me. Tarot has always been like my favorite form of divination, but I know there's a lot of people out there. Bone scrying is another one. Throwing bones.
hmm
Sorry, totally random thought. But yeah, so scrying.
no,
If
it's
you
fair.
want to, if you want to try it, those are some forms that you could look at and give your give it a go.
Yep. Go
Yeah.
sit by a stream and just watch the water.
Yep.
It's very soothing too.
That will put me to sleep so fast. I'd just be the person laying by a river and they're like, "Are you okay?" "Yep, just having a nap, just chilling. This is really nice and relaxing." Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I think, yeah.
were you gonna say something?
Shall we?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Um. So jumping back into writing foreshadowing, because we were talking about reasons to foreshadow. Now we're talking about writing it, actually putting it in. And this is where you can do it deliberately, like we said with mysteries, which is going to be a huge part of your plot, is leaving the foreshadowing, leaving the breadcrumbs for the readers to follow to figure out who the person is or their motive and all that. So definitely leaving a deliberate foreshadowing for all of your readers. That is one thing of doing it, is like just actually writing it in. Now, whether that's going in after you wrote it to put in the foreshadowing or you write it as you go, there's two options you can do. If you already know how it's going to go and you've mapped it all out and you've plotted it all, you know where it's going to go, then you put it in as you write it. Now, you may not know all the pieces, like you're a pantser and you're just going at it. You may get to the end and then realize, oh, I have to go back in and add more foreshadowing because I didn't put it in. Or, oh, now there's some other things that had come up before I started and I wrote it to the end that now I need to go back and fix and add foreshadowing here, fix this foreshadowing because the storyline changed along the way. But either way, you are deliberately going in and putting in the foreshadows. That word's going to start sounding real funny
Mhm.
soon.
Clues? How about the clues?
Clues.
Clues.
Blues clues.
I mean, and all of that is true. And mysteries is the big one where you're going to see it, like we said, but it does come up in all genres. One example is in a epic fantasy, you're getting clues to the real villain's identity if it isn't revealed to you at the beginning of it, or you're putting together why their motivation for being the villain. Or in a romance, you might be getting, especially in like a why choose, who she's actually going to choose at the end. Not a why choose, but a
Love
um
triangle.
love triangle. I hate that word. No wonder I forgot it. Um
Yep.
uh so yeah, getting clues as to who she is actually going to, or he is going to pick in the end of the story. Or I'm trying to think of other genres. Wow, fantasy, romance, and mystery is all sci-fi. Still kind of epic, still kind of you usually there's a big villain at the end, that there's some kind of reveal or some kind of technology that is being built, or you can get foreshadowing with that. So you can write it into all kinds of different genres. It can be like I think you said already, it could be a secret that changes the story that you have to write in, but you have to give clues to that secret without outright revealing it.
Mm-hmm.
Give them those bits of foreshadowing so that the reader at the end of it can be like, oh, that all makes sense.
Yeah.
Instead of being like, that came out of fucking nowhere.
Yeah. I think the other one, with horror, you know who the villain is in horror most of the time. But the foreshadowing comes in how to defeat said villain. And they have to typically figure out a way to fight them, get away from them. That isn't just, let me just smack him and see what happens. So typically there's like, those where your foreshadowing will come in, especially like paranormal horrors and
Mhm.
stuff like that, where they're like, we need to figure out how to get rid of them. There's that.
I'm I'm actually thinking of the first Child's Play movie when the babysitter was killed by Chucky, and they were suspecting the kid because the footprints in the flour were the same shoe prints that Chucky the doll wore that he had on his little footsie PJ things.
Yeah.
So that was a hint of foreshadowing for the detectives there, that like giving them the clue that they needed to move forward. Kind of thing.
Yeah. So definitely, like I said, like you said, a secret that changes the story. That could be a big one too. So this is going to be something that literally can shift. Maybe it is the villain. And then you realize the villain isn't really the villain. And I am definitely looking at you, Arcana Academy. Uh where you think it's one person and then next thing you know, you're like, "What? That's not where I thought this was going." But then when you look back, you're like, "Oh shit, that kind of makes sense. I get it." So that could also happen too, where it starts redirecting it somewhere else, which ended up being the climax, in my opinion.
Hmm.
So then, if it isn't deliberate, sometimes you get accidental foreshadowing. And these are small details that you kind of come up with along the way that you didn't realize were slowly foreshadowing things as you went along. This kind of happened to me where I was like, oh, that I wrote about that and I didn't even remember I wrote about that. But it makes sense to the plot. And so there is that where that could happen. That you were subtly foreshadowing things happening in the future that you weren't really planning on doing. It just kind of all lined up and you're just like, hell yeah, sick. Less work for me. Oh,
Yeah, I mean,
sorry.
it's yeah. You write that someone's eyes were blue, and later on you realize, oh, maybe it's that someone else's eyes were blue, and you find out later on, oh, they were actually related, and that's why their eyes are both blue. Or you find out that someone has some kind of scar on their arm, and it's just mentioned as a off the cuff thing because you're trying to show that they had a hard life, or they were a woodsman or a forester or something. So they're or a warrior, so they have these scars, and then you find out later on, oh, that scar could be because of, and so it unintentionally becomes foreshadowing. Maybe it was given to them by their arch enemy. Maybe
Yeah.
it was to them by their lover that became their arch enemy. I don't know. Have fun with it. But that is kind
Yeah.
of fun thing about foreshadowing is a lot of the times your brain is already thinking ahead for you. So what you don't even realize sometimes is your unconscious brain is putting these things in there for you to connect yourself later. And you're like, oh, that actually makes a lot of sense. I have done that.
I love when that happens. That is like the best when you're writing something and it just happens to all just pan out perfectly. Like I knew my character was going to be a witch, but I didn't know how, what, and I when I wrote the Secret of Society series, I was literally everything was brain to paper. So all the foreshadowing that I gave for her being a witch and she's like, "I'm not a witch." It just kind of just happened and I was like, sick. Now we know why she doesn't know and it just all lined up for me. So the best when that happens. You're like, "Thanks, brain.
Yeah.
You were braining
Yeah, I know,
for
right?
me." Um,
We needed
but
that.
seriously. But also these subtle foreshadows can end up being something that becomes a major plot point later down the line that you may not have anticipated it becoming this the main plot or part of the main plot. So sometimes those accidental foreshadowings can kind of sneak up on you and give you a plot point that maybe you thought wasn't going to happen or you weren't sure. And then next thing you know, it takes over and you're like, oh, okay, this is the way we're going and we're going to run with it and it's going to be great. It could happen. I've literally talked to people and they're like, I completely forgot about this plot point because this one just took over and I ran with it. So it could happen. And it could all just be subtle foreshadowing. And then, characters like to drop bombs on you with information. So there's also that where it's character driven. So there is that where they're just like, hey, psst, psst, I got some information for you and you got to write it in and this is the way it's going now, whether you like it or not.
No shit, man.
Yeah. They those characters, they're wild.
when they start
Not the
when
voices
you
in your
start
head.
hearing them talk, they've come alive.
The voices in our heads.
You know
Yep.
what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Voices in our heads. We just
Yep.
give them names and appearances and write them into stories. That's the only difference.
Yeah. And then you guys get to read about them and love them as much as we do. So,
And watch us
yeah,
torture
maybe. So sorry. That was like,
them.
was it you that sent the one where it was like, if I was to be trapped in a room with all of my characters, how fast would I die or something like that? I was like, oh my God. Oh. The
I think
women would
another
want.
good example
I was just going to
of that
say,
would be go
I
ahead.
was gonna say the women would want to murder me. The men probably not so much because things don't go bad for them as much. Except Charles. Poor Charles. So sorry.
Yeah. Charles might want to hurt you a little bit.
He's like, this bitch right here. It's like, I'm sorry. It was for the plot. But go ahead. Sorry.
Just believe me, it was for the plot, I promise.
You got what you wanted in the end. Don't be mad. Please. It had to happen.
That's true.
You got your happily ever after in the end,
That
so
is
don't be
true.
pissed at me. So yeah.
Right?
But what were
That's
you gonna
fair.
say?
I was just saying if two authors characters ever got in a room together, um there would be a lot of therapy happening.
Yeah. I feel like if ours got in a room together, they'd be like, did they do this to you too? It's like, yeah. Yeah, they did.
Yeah, kind of.
To be fair, my characters can't say I've actually taken body parts off of them. So I got one mark in that. But you do not. Did she take your leg too?
I
No. No, she didn't.
I mean, someone else loses part of their hand later on, so it's not just him.
I know. But, I don't like to dismember my characters. I do try to leave them whole physically. Mentally, on the other hand, I'm crippling them. they're they're sad.
It's a weird form of it's a weird form of uh, I'm gonna say it wrong. Um, disability visibility.
Yeah.
I want to put that representation. That's what I'm trying to say. Disability representation. I'm trying to
Yeah.
put in that representation. Um, but since they start out normal, I have to make them not normal somehow so that we can have that representation later on.
That does happen though to people.
As,
So,
as someone who is disabled with a chronic invisible illness, it is important to me to have that representation. And I just don't go about putting it in the books in the best way.
I mean, mine have mental representation. Physical
That's
mm,
true.
not as much. Mental representation, yes. My characters are mentally ill. Most of
That
them.
is well, so are mine, to be fair. So mages
You
aren't
know.
exactly sane.
Well, we do what we do.
Anyway, where are we at? We totally went off on a side tangent there. Characters dropping clues as we write. That's it.
Yes. So, it is very possible that your characters will drop those clues on you about a direction or something that they have revealed to you that you need to now write about and put in the foreshadowing that's going to be important for something later. That's all I got.
No, I'm sorry. My brain is not braining. Yeah, it's my brain just totally dumped what you said out of my head. So I'm just going to go on with what the next point was of
Go for it.
story driven logical path for the story to follow after a small detail earlier.
That's fair.
You may have written in something unintentionally that your storyline then takes off on that later on in the book. And again, it doesn't have to be a big climactic part of the story. It could be a side quest, it could be a plot line, it could be a character's family trauma or losing a leg. I don't know. Take your pick, have fun with it. Um so it can be a foreshadowing that is dropped in by the story. So
Yeah. There, there's definitely that. That that's kind of how
yeah.
mine do go along. Is it kind of just sometimes the story is on its path and you just keep on going with that path. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I really don't have much else to do say on foreshadowing because I don't really use it all that much. I'm a liar. No, I do.
Consciously anyway.
I don't do it consciously. So my brain is like, I don't pick it up that I'm doing it, but I do it. I do. Sorry. My maturity level is clearly
Oh.
at like 5 years old today. So there's that.
Yeah, I can tell.
It's been a long weekend. It's been a long Sunday. Um,
It's been a long weekend, that's for sure.
yeah. So that would bring us to the end of this episode. It is not a very long episode because there's only so much you could say about foreshadowing. I'm sure we probably missed a point here or there. But
But in the comments,
yes, if we missed something, a good reason to foreshadow or on writing foreshadowing, if you have any tips on how to write foreshadowing, leave it in a comment. We like to chit chat with you guys. But let's move into book reviews. I did get a chance to read today, or not today, this week, but I didn't finish. But I am over halfway done with the book that I did pick up. So I will have a book review for you next week, which will be The House of Hunger. So, and I don't remember the author's name. Yeah, I forgot her name, but I'll have it for you next week. So,
okay.
uh,
Okay, so I kind of
I was just gonna say
already
book review
gave
for you.
mine away.
Yeah.
Yeah. I read A Duet with the Siren Duke by Elise Kova. We have brought Elise Kova up on this series before. I will forever say that she is a good author. I really love her work. This is book 4 of the Married to Magic series. Um, I love this cover though. It's so
It is
gorgeous
beautiful.
and it's book accurate. Like there's a reason for all the colors and everything too.
Stunning.
Um, but it's basically following the story of Victoria, who is a ship captain who was rescued by the Siren Duke 5 years ago, and her bargain for being rescued has come due, and she is taken below the sea by the Siren Duke to become the sacrifice to the god of death, the Lord Croken.
Oh my god.
So this is first and foremost a romantasy. So, Married to Magic kind of series name kind of gives that away. Um, so of course she falls in love with Ilrith, the Siren Duke. Who can blame her? I mean, look at the man. Come on.
Fair.
So, yeah. Um, it's a really well written novel. It is the fourth. I have read all of the Married to Magic up to this book. There is one more Married to Magic that's already published, and another one that's coming out that's tying the whole series together. Because these are written as standalone books. Um, but I really enjoyed seeing all of the little pieces of the other books coming to life in this one at the end and seeing all of these threads start to converge. All this foreshadowing that she's been putting into these books is coming. It's coming somewhere. So I can't wait for the next book, which is A Dawn with the Wolf Knight, which is about a witch and a werewolf.
Ooh, that's gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Um, so yeah, all right. Um, so yeah, if you like romantasy, highly recommend it. Like I said, you can read it on its own. I would start with the first book, which is a deal with the Elven King, and work your way through the series because it's much more satisfying to watch all of these threads slowly come together as she wraps it all up. Because the sixth book is going to be kind of the culmination of all of these timelines that are slowly converging.
Mm-hmm.
So, but if you just want a hot merman uh, ship captain
Mm-hmm.
as the female lead, pick it up.
I will say I did start the deal with the Elf King, so I'll be listening to that. So I'll be also reviewing that later. I don't think you've reviewed that on the podcast, have you?
I read it a few years ago, so no, I have not reviewed it on the
Okay.
podcast.
Well, then I'll get to
Yeah.
review that one when I finish it.
Yes.
That and I'm like over halfway done with uh Robert Jordan's. I'm just like at the halfway point with 2 books already. And then I freaking DNF'd one, so I'm like, ugh, bummer. But oh well.
I am getting there. Egwene just went through the arches. So
Oh, so sad.
yeah, that one was sad. So yeah, we are still on track for the third Wheel of Time episode, guys. We are reading The Dragon Reborn right now. If
Yeah.
you're looking forward to that, we are still going to have an episode for that. I can't promise we're going to have the fourth one. It depends on how we feel after the end of the book. So far, though, it's promising.
Yeah. So far, I will say it's been keeping my attention. I've been wanting to listen to it, and I find myself like picking up my headphones to listen to the ebook, or not the ebook, the audiobook. And it's all the plotting. I am loving the plotting that they're doing and the scheming. Ooh, it's so good.
That's fair.
I do love that, which is why I think I've been eating it up so far this book, because there's been a lot of that. But yeah, you also had someone tell you that from book 5 to 12 was a slog to get through. That it
Yeah,
was.
we'll see.
I can't force myself to read 7 books of bleh.
No, I I can't either.
My
Like
TBR is
he
growing every
barely
day.
got me to the third one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we'll see. But
I don't know.
third book review will be coming, I would say soon-ish. Within the next
Soonish. Yeah,
within the next month or so.
I'm on a steady pace. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm on a steady pace to finish it. I'm not quite as far into it as you are.
Yeah. I've kind of paused, and that's why I started doing the deal with the Elf King until we're kind of at the same area. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well,
But yeah,
that brings us to the end of this episode. You can find us at Writing with Witches at writingwithwitches.com. And you can email us at writingwithwitches@gmail.com. We are on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Blue Sky. We are on TikTok, but we are not actively posting like we are on the other 4. We also have a Discord server. So if you'd like to join and hang out with us and chit chat, we have a whole Discord server for everyone to join. Also, you can find me at all the aforementioned places as author Nicole Autumn, except Instagram, which is Nicole Autumn Author. I also have my own website at authornicoleautumn.com. I also have a Discord server that you can join and sign up for my newsletter, because another one will be coming out shortly, if I'm not mistaken, when this comes out. Or it had just come out a week ago or something, somewhere. Just sign up. You'll get the infos and the tidbits. Leona.
You're going to find me at leonaurbanskiauthor.com. You can also find me on Facebook and Instagram as Leona Urbanski Author. You also can sign up for my Substack at leonaurbanskiauthor.substack.com, which I do try and send one out monthly. You can find both of us at mythweaverbooks.com, where you'll find all of our published books. You can sign up for ARCs because we still have books coming out. Um, you can also find merch from our books. Oh, we have some amazing artwork by Alex out there that is now on merch.
Mm-hmm.
The gym bag, chef's kiss. I love it. I've had many comments on it, so
I need to
compliments.
get one. I need to get one so bad.
Uh, and Mythweaver Books is on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.
Yes.
So,
Um, shoot, I was gonna say something. Oh, yes. Do make sure you sign up for ARCs because we have a schedule of at least 4 books coming out a year for the next at least 2 years that we have scheduled planned out. So you could be one of those people that are getting every ARC if you sign up for it and you leave reviews. So just throwing that out there. Free books, you know? What can I say?
mhm.
So that brings us to the end of this episode. And next week, we will be talking about adding sensory details, which is my absolute freaking favorite thing to do.
That's going to be a long episode.
That one will be a long episode. So it's kind of a good thing this one isn't super duper long because you'll get to buckle up for next week. So thank you all for watching and or listening. And we hope you have a wonderful week. And we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.